Hi everyone, this is English 125, and today I'm going to talk to you about A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. Faulkner was born in September 1897 and he died July 1962. He was born into a wealthy family from Oxford, Mississippi. However, he was both a high school and a college dropout, so while he was quite intelligent, school just really wasn't his thing. He published his first book in 1924 and it was called The Marble Fawn. And throughout his lifetime, he struggled with alcoholism. He is considered one of the great authors of Southern literature. He's also considered a great American author. He's best known for writing The Sound and the Fury, As I Lay Dying, Light in August, and Absalom, Absalom. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1949, and he writes in what we consider the Southern Gothic tradition, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Faulkner grew up and spent much of his life in Oxford, Mississippi, and Lafayette County. The county and town, which Faulkner famously referred to as my own little postage stamp of native soil, served as a model for the fictional Yoknapatawpha County and the town of Jefferson, where Faulkner set 14 novels and dozens of short stories. A Rose for Emily is set in Jefferson. The portrait of the town, which becomes especially vivid through the first-person plural narrative voice, will be familiar to readers who know some of Faulkner's other works. Yoknapatawpha County was a microcosm of the South, and he populated it with interconnected families and individuals from a diverse array of backgrounds: poor whites, black slaves, and their freed but persecuted descendants, farmers, merchants, the old aristocratic planter class, and their increasingly impoverished heirs, and transplanted Northerners, as well as Chickasaw Indians. Over the course of his fiction, Faulkner traced life in Yoknapatawpha from the beginning of the 19th century to his own time, surveying the broad effects of the social transformations brought on by the Civil War and Reconstruction, as well as the enduring legacies of slavery and discrimination. He was always interested in the way the events and social structures of Southern history haunted the present. As he once put it, the past is never dead, it's not even past. So Faulkner goes through, in Faulkner's literature, you will see what he refers to as in eternal verities or eternal truths. And so he talks about, throughout different pieces of literature, the value of love, honor, pity, pride, compassion, and sacrifice. And you will see all of these eternal truths represented in A Rose for Emily. Faulkner writes in what we call the Southern Gothic tradition of literature. And Southern Gothic literature is focused on disturbed people doing really strange and disturbing things. Southern Gothic literature is characterized by its strange characters, its interest in bizarre occurrences, and the way it uses these grotesqueries to explore social issues unique to the American South. Narratives or stories in the Southern Gothic tradition tend to examine social and behavioral codes by depicting people who are engaged in acts ranging from the out of the ordinary to the eccentric to the taboo. Incest, murder, suicide, lynching, rape, castration, and insanity are not unusual topics with Southern Gothic literature. And you will see that necrophilia, which is what Faulkner explores in A Rose for Emily, fits nicely into or with that list. So some symbolism and themes that you'll see in A Rose for Emily: hanging on to the past or refusing to change, the old versus new, black versus white, death, and money. These are all key themes that you will see. Faulkner says or is quoted as saying about A Rose for Emily. I feel sorry for Emily's tragedy. I can't speak tonight. Sorry, guys. Her her tragedy was, and she was an only child, an only daughter. At first, when she could have found a husband, could have had a life of her own, there was probably someone, her father, who said, "No, you must stay here and take care of me." And then, when she found a man, she had had no experience in people. She picked out, probably a bad one, who was about to desert her. And when she lost him, she could see that for her that was the end of life. There was nothing left, except to grow older, alone, solitary. She had something and she wanted to keep it, which is bad, to go to any length to keep something. But I pity Emily. I might have been afraid of her, not of her, but of anyone who had suffered, had been warped, as her life had been probably warped by a selfish father. Uh, the title A Rose for Emily was an allegorical title. The meaning was, here was a woman who had a tragedy, an irrevocable tragedy, and nothing could be done about it, and I pitied her, and this was a salute to her. To a woman, you hand a rose. So that's what Faulkner has to say about A Rose for Emily. We're lucky in that we get to have him give us some commentary on what he thought about Miss Emily and her role in her little town of Jefferson. So, once you have had the opportunity to look at this, make sure that you read the short story A Rose for Emily, and also watch the film. I think you'll find the film really interesting and a fun interpretation of the actual short story. So if you have any questions, please post them in the questions and comments forum, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.